Stephen Correño, KO Artist Sports. We're here with the one and only Stitch Duran, man. It's always a pleasure to talk to you, Stitch.
Man, what an introduction, bro. Thanks.
Matt, we're here at the Neri Hovhannissian fight. I know you're working with Shane Mosley Jr. Did you work with Shane Sr. as well in his career?
No, I never did. I worked with Fernando Vargas when he fought Shane. But no, on this one, my second one with Shane, I worked with, he fought Gabe Rosado. Such a good kid. You know, I mean, I see him in the gym all the time with Bones Adams and all that. And so it's for me, it's a pleasure to come over here and to his hometown, you know, and be part of his victory.
You said you worked with Fernando Vargas. Were you working his corner when that big hematoma?
Yeah, that was crazy. And they thought, what can you do with that, right? But like I was telling them, I said, man, I gave you a couple more rounds. When the doctor came and looked at it, they realized that, let's give Stitch a couple more rounds and see what we do. But you get to a point where you got to think of the fighter's safety, and at that point, it was a tough fight.
There's only so much you could do in the corner,
yeah,
right?
of course.
It's not a hospital in there.
The old cut me Mick stuff doesn't work.
Doesn't work?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. What was that? Maybe one of the worst hematomas you've ever dealt with?
I've worked on some other ones, but yeah, that's up to that category. The UFC, they would get pretty big, and so yeah, I've worked them before, and there's really nothing you could do. The old adage that you could move it aside, that's a bunch of bull. And what happens when you get a hematoma like that, you get a giant accumulation of blood. So you're not going to move that. You might move it to tissue that's not damaged, but it comes back and now it's a little bit bigger.
Right.
So it's a tough situation.
When was like the first time in your career that you were working on a cut and it just wasn't, whatever you were doing just wasn't working? It just kept going. Yeah. Was there like a first time in your career that you remember like, shit, this motherfucker isn't stopping?
Yeah, well, Jay Haran fought Jonathan Goulet at his WEC at that time. I think part of the UFC.
Right.
And that big vein that we have right here, well, Jonathan Goulet gave him a knee, and the cut was about this big, but it severed that vein. And that one you're not going to stop. Blood gets in your eyes, and they have blood from the top of their head to the bottom of their feet, so much blood that I got nauseated. And so I'm working on it, and when I put the final Vaseline on it, it goes, shoots right there. So I'm not gonna happen, So that was pretty bloody, bloodiest fight I've ever worked, literally. And
that one,
and the mat is in Randy Couture's gym, but it made me nauseated.
Wow, was that one of the first times that happened to you that you got nauseated?
But the only time it's happened to me. There was that much blood, bro. I'm telling you, there was so much blood. I mean, Sean Shirk, when he fought Kenny Florian, I'm literally, Kenny Florian has puddles of blood in his eyes because he was on the bottom and the blood was literally, all kinds of action, bro.
Man. Would you say MMA cuts are worse than boxing cuts? Yeah, because of the knees and elbows.
And then exactly. And then the different areas.
Right. Man, Stitch, we got some big fights coming up. I know you're not a big prediction guy, but just stylistically with David Benavidez and Caleb Plant, man, that's a big fight. It's a big fight that we got at super middleweight. How do you think the fight plays out in the ring? Is it like a kind of one guy breaks down the other, or is it like a set traps type of fight? Like what do you think it looks like?
It's going to be a balls to the wall fight, no doubt about it. And I'm working with Caleb Plant.
Oh, you're on
so okay. I see him in the gym, and I worked with him on this last fight with Anthony Duran. But Breadman came in as a coach. Hey, I tell you what, I didn't know Breadman before, but I've worked with a lot of great coaches. This kid's setting up a good game plan, And I know David Benavidez, I know the father, I know Jose. Jose's in the movie Creed with us. And I know the whole family. As a matter of fact, I remember the father, we were doing a UFC in London like 10 years ago. And we're on the bus going to the weigh-ins, and he says, I have two sons, and they're both going to be world champions, right? And sure enough, he had two sons and were world champions. And I saw them when Earl Spence fought Ugas. And I'm telling you, 10 years ago, your dad told me you guys were going to be world champions. And either way, it's a fan favorite fight, bro. And to me, I know Benavides is a favorite, but in this game, everything's possible. And Caleb is a different fighter than he was, because I've seen him train through his last years in Vegas, but I've seen the progression with Breadman. They got a game plan.
I was just going to ask, seeing Breadman now in the corners was only the second camp with him.
Yeah.
Do you see a drastic change in
100%.
Caleb? And
100%.
Yeah.
100%. And it's a great combination together. Like I say, I've seen great guys work with great fighters, and this falls in that category. And I told people I didn't know what Breadman was before, but I know skill, and I know game plan, and it's a good combination. And conditioning wise, all right, they have Tony Brady working on conditioning, and that's going to be key to that fight also. Whoever has more gas in the tank to continue doing the onslaught that they're prepared to do, it's going to be the victor.
Yeah. No, Breadman is definitely, I don't want to say a secret weapon, but is a
quiet storm
piece.
Yeah.
Right.
They had the quiet storm, literally.
Yeah, exactly. Quiet storm is perfect. That's the perfect way of describing it. Man, another big one, Ryan Garcia versus Tank Davis. Are you working in either one of those corners?
No, not yet.
Okay.
No.
Do you, stylistically, with that one, do you think it's, because those guys are real fast, twitchy, very kind of, just, like, I feel like they're very much a set traps type people, like Javante is, like so.
It's I don't know. This is a knockout game, and I think that's going to be the decision. So forget about styles and all that. Whoever cracks first and cracks on is going to win.
Right. How do you think Ryan's height will play out in the fight? Because he's taller.
Well, and the thing about it, he's quick. So, and taller means distance, and that's good for a guy that shoots from the outside. So,
Stitch, what are you up to, brother? I know you said Creed 3. You're in that. How did that go, man?
That's tremendous.
Whose corner are you working? You working Creeds or you working?
Come on, man. Come on. Michael B. Jordan told me in the last one I told him how proud I was of him, and Ryan Coogler that wrote and directed Creed, and Black Panther also now. Tesson, Ryan, Steve Cappell, and he said, Stitch, we went from being actors to writers, producers, directors, and he looks at me like I'm looking at you and says, I'm directing Creed 3, and you're with me as long as you want. So I'm part of, but then also, I'll add, they're filming a documentary of my life based on the book From the Fields to the Garden that I wrote, and they interviewed Mike, and I'm looking at some of the clips, and he says, he's one of the pillars of Creed, so he goes, as long as I'm doing it, he's in, so, and I told him, I said, what Mick was to Rocky, Stitch is to the new Adonis.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, it's a good point. I hadn't thought about it.
I have. I'm honored, bro. How do you think I feel, man? Being the number one, representing the raza, and being involved with Mike and having him, he used me as an advisor, everything authentic that you're going to see, I had a lot to do with it. Picking out the guy, he asked me, Stitch, who should give away the WBC belt? And I told him the story about Jose Suleiman, how Mexico City, and he passed away. Mauricio took over, and so I saw Mauricio in Dallas when Ugas fought Spence, and I told him the story, and he said, well, let's take a picture and just send it to the Klitschko's, because we were talking about the Klitschko's also. But anyway, in the movie, we're filming in Atlanta. Okay, 53% black, the rest are gabachos, and there's one Mexican guy that they have as an extra on the other side of the ring, and I had spoken to him already, right? Ty and all that, about my age, and I said it should be given away by a Mexican guy. See that guy over there? Get him. So I got him in the movie giving away the WBC belt.
That's beautiful.
It's it blows my mind. Why? I'm blessed to do it. Just to be part of it.
What a blessing, man.
It is. It's 100. I thank God every day, bro. Shit just happens.
That's so awesome.
This man here is respected. Hold on, let me say, I gotta give him his flowers while he's living, and he's gonna live a long time. Let me tell you, respect. Even though he never worked in my corner personally, but I always respect him, and he always gave me good encouragement. And I watched his craft,
my man.
And knowing the craft of a teacher, not trainer, is very important.
But let me add how I got a little connection with this guy. He might not know. Leon Tabs and I were the for the UFC. I always said, and he worked with Bernard, right?
Yes.
But I always said, how the hell did a guy like Leon Tabs from Atlantic City and Philadelphia hang out with a Mexican that's a farm worker from California? But we became best of friends.
And know what I told Leon? Leon, God bless his soul, I told Leon, he's not here anymore. I said, Leon, you had the most easiest job because you never had to fix a cut. That's That's a good thing.
Yeah,
took care of it. He took care of it.
Appreciate you, man.
Was he ever
Legend. Hold up with that. Legend. Legend. I said it. If it means anything, which I know it do, it means something.
That's high praise. That's high praise.
Appreciate you.
Was he ever in the opposite corner, Bernard, and he stopped the cut that you started, maybe?
Never was.
Never. Hey, but I wish it was. Shit, I always call my employers. If you give me a cut, I'll work on it.
Exactly.
You give me some money. But he never did.
Anybody can stop a cut before the cut happens is a great guy.
Yeah, you're right. My man. Hey, God, it don't get no better than that, bro.
Man, I mean, legend from a legend to another legend, right?
Come on, man. And that's the things that blow my mind, and it just blows my mind. Like the Creed movie. So I'm going to the premiere next week, right? And then the week after, I'm going to see it in Las Vegas with my family because I live there. The next day, I'm flying to Merced and hooking up with all the guys I grew up with in the migrant camp and my friends and camaradas, buying like 30 tickets. We're going to go see it together.
That's beautiful. Have the
got to get back, right? Yeah, of course,
awesome.
man. Yeah, of course.
Stitch, thank you so much for your time, man. It's a pleasure talking to you as always.
Muchas gracias.